So we're finally to exercise 7. We're going to use the type 3 naming system, which involves prefixes. So we're going to use type 3. We're going to use prefixes as when we're naming binary covalent compounds. Remember, they're covalent compound because they're covalently bonded. Remember what type of elements form covalent bonds with each other? Nonmetals. And so you'll see that all of the elements here in exercise 7 are nonmetals. Okay? So we're going to name each of these using type 3 naming system, using the prefixes. But also, don't forget the IDE ending on the second, on the more electronegative element. So, that's phosphorus. That's chlorine. There are 5 chlorines. So this would be phosphorus, 5 chlorines, so it's chloride, right? Because that's the more electronegative element there. But there are 5 of them, so pentachloride, phosphorus pentachloride. As opposed to this substance, B, which has the same phosphorus. Here's a chloride, but there's 3 of them. So instead of phosphorus pentachloride, this will be phosphorus trichloride, because there's 3 chlorides. Moving on to C, that's sulfur, and that's fluoride. There are 6 fluorides, so I will say sulfur hexafluoride. Then we have sulfur, right? Sulfur oxide, but there are 3 oxides, so sulfur trioxide. Now, if you're really, really paying attention, and you think to yourself, wait a minute, in exercise 6, wasn't this sulfate? No, sorry, I'm sorry, not sulfate. Wasn't this sulfite? Right, the answer here says that it's sulfur trioxide, but up here we called it sulfite. What's the difference? Well, if it's sulfite, it's a polyatomic ion. So it would look like this, right? So far the same? Boom. It's got a charge. Do you see a charge on this one? No, no charge. So this is simply sulfur trioxide. And here's one that you hear a lot, especially when you're studying volcanoes in the earth science. Sulfur dioxide. And then lastly, one that everyone knows by sight, carbon dioxide. The only thing that I want to point out here is that all of these examples, A through F, have involved a type 3 binary compound that had only one of the central atom. Notice how there's only one phosphorus, one sulfur, one carbon. If by chance we got an example that's not on here, so let's go example G N2O5. Notice how there's not just one of these. So it's not just one of the first element. Right, there are 2 of them. I'm going to have to include a prefix to start this one off as well. So this will be di nitrogen pent oxide. Right, I had to include the di to indicate that there are more than one nitrogen. Now, the only reason that we're not saying mono phosphorus pentachloride, mono phosphorus trichloride, mono sulfur hexafluoride, mono sulfur trioxide, mono sulfur dioxide, mono sulfur carbon dioxide is because just because of convention, a mono on the first element is dropped. But if there's any number of those first elements aside from one, we have to say that prefix. Di, tri, tetra, penta, hexa, hepta, oxa, nona, deca, right? And on and on and on.